Flashback to one humid August night in 2016. My brother Tim, friend Tony, and I decided to go for an evening drive. We did this every once in a while on low-key Friday nights. Tony's fiancée, Kelly, made it known before we left that she had plans to meet with some friends, so we figured we'd do one of our usual roll sessions. Drive around a few neighboring towns, shoot the shit, grab some food, and head back to Tony's business to watch TV before Kelly got back. It is important to note that Tony and Kelly own a facility that operates 24/7. The building is set back from a main road down a long driveway. They both spent the majority of their time there and had staff that would stay late and cover evening shifts. However, on this particular night, the worker who was scheduled to cover the late shift had called out. With this in mind, they knew that they'd have to stop by the business around 11 p.m. or so Tony could cover. The roll session went as planned. We left Tony's at around 8:30 p.m., grabbed something to eat, and drove around aimlessly for nearly 2 hours, offloading our problems to each other and enjoying the muggy night air. Tony received a couple Snapchat messages from Kelly, one of which was a picture of her at the business with a caption stating, "Alone and unbelievably bored." Clearly she was intoxicated, and Tony was understandably a bit annoyed. At approximately 11 p.m., we arrived at the parking lot. Tony pulled the car into a space on the right of the building, and we sat in the car with the windows down. The night was dark, the only light coming from a light fixture above the front of the building. We finished up our conversation before Tony went in to go deal with his likely tipsy fiancée. But as we sat in the lot, we noticed headlights cutting through the darkness of the long driveway behind us. This instantly caught our attention, as no public is allowed at the facility past 8 p.m. We kill the engine and sit still to observe the approaching vehicle. A Ford Explorer pulls up slowly, creeps past the front of the building, and pulls into a spot directly to our right. At this point, our passenger side door was lined up exactly with the Explorer's driver's side door. It was an eerie feeling. The kind of sinking feeling when you know something just isn't right. I was in the back seat and I couldn't see the driver. Suddenly, I hear Tony say, "Hey, what are you doing here?" The driver responds in a nervous tone. "Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I was, just taking a drive through the area. Figured I'd stop by and check in." Deafening silence. It was 11 at night. By Tony's short tone and motionlessness, I could tell he was uncomfortable. The driver hesitates for a moment and nervously says, "Yeah, I was just doing some driving. Your fiancé's pretty drunk, huh? I saw it on Snapchat." This statement is completely out of context, and the red flags start going off in my head. I look at my brother, who gives me a dead stare. Tony keeps cool and responds that Kelly was out with friends and that he had just come back to check on her. The driver let out a forced laugh. "Yeah, well, I was just swinging through the area. I gotta get back or else my girl's gonna kill me." He puts his car in reverse and takes off. He left no time for Tony to respond. Jay and I instantly asked Tony who the hell that guy was, and how did he know about Kelly's location. Tony explains that the man's name is Brendan, and that he was hired to cut the property's lawn on occasion. Tony said that Brendan supposedly had a criminal history, but he had never investigated the matter. Remembering back, I asked Tony if Kelly had Brendan as a Snapchat friend. Tony wasn't sure, but we assumed that this had to be the case. As we all knew, Kelly used Snapchat as her main source of social media. We immediately typed Brendan's name into Google, along with our city, and sure enough, an article appeared, which detailed his arrest 7 years prior for impersonating a police officer and attempted aggravated kidnapping. Everything suddenly became clear. This nutcase saw Kelly's Snap story, realized she was drunk, alone, and, recognizing the location, made his way to the facility to try and find Kelly. We flew out of the car and ran into the building looking for Kelly. We found her sleeping on the staff room couch. We asked if she had spoken to the landscaper guy, Brendan, that day. She showed us her phone, and he had messaged her hours earlier commenting on one of her snaps. We told her about how Brendan pulled up in the parking lot a few minutes previous, and that he knew that she had been drinking and was alone. We also revealed to her the news article describing Brendan's arrest. You could tell by Kelly's facial expression, she felt sick to her stomach. What if she had let him inside? He was a familiar face after all. It was all very chilling. This man, a person who literally went to jail for trying to kidnap someone, was literally at their business, on their property, at 11 p.m. in almost total darkness, away from the main road. If we hadn't been there, and she answered the door, we might not have ever seen or heard from Kelly again. That night, Kelly blocked him on social media. They haven't seen him since and don't intend on hiring him to do any yard work ever again. Not many people come that close to something bad happening to them and living to tell the tale. Seriously, word to the wise, be careful who you add on social media. You don't know who's watching you. There are some really scary people out there, and oftentimes, they're closer to you than you think. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for listening. Thumbs up, subscribe, and if you have a story of your own you'd like me to read, send it to this email address on screen right now. Please leave a comment under this if you want more stories like this. Until the next video, never stop searching.